Welcome back to Splitting Lanes, where we have 3 lanes to discuss endless topics where every conversation takes a turn. Now, before we get started, let me introduce our esteemed panel of experienced peoples. First, we have Robert Simmons from the Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle channel, where seat time does not equal practice time. Also, from the biggest little YouTube channel on the entire interwebs, we have Q the Rider from Riding and Wrenching. All right, so let's bring these guys in here. What's going on, fellas? How's everybody doing today?
What up?
Oh man, it has been a crazy
I don't want to
week.
do it every. I don't want to do it every episode, but you get that kind of greeting, so I got to say, Q, have you consumed any intoxicants tonight?
Oh, I can't tell you how much I want to, but no, not tonight.
Hey, now you missed that the last episode. You didn't ask him the question. I was like, oh man, I forgot to remind him.
Because just like when you pull somebody over, there has to be some indication: glossy eyes, slurred speech, reckless behavior. He didn't have any of that last episode. He was good. Wow.
Yeah. Starting off early, man. Golly.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't going that fast, officer, was I?
Yeah,
Yes.
man.
Please, if you haven't, you got to run that clip of me giving Q out in where were we, Q? Where were we at? Florida?
Daytona.
Yeah, Daytona.
It was
Me
Daytona
giving
last
him-
year. Yeah.
It wasn't last year. I think it was the year before. Me giving
Okay.
Q a coordination test.
Hey, matter of fact, we're gonna run it right here.
Roll your left foot, whatever one you want. I want you to look down at your toe. Arms at your side. And you count to 30. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. Can you count that? Can you count that one?
I can.
Okay. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, up until 30. Looking at your foot. Any questions? Do you have any limitations? Any physical?
Can we do like the 7 or?
You could, but then I'm going to put some handcuffs on you. It's 30. Like 3. 1 Mississippi. That's fine.
All right. But I gotta keep my hands out.
Yes, sir.
Jeez.
And keep your eyes on your toe.
1, 1,000, 2, they say 1, 1, or Mississippi.
1, 1,000.
All right.
Start over.
1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000, 11, 1,000, 12, 1,000.
Put your hands behind your back. There you go.
Oh, man.
Innocent? Did nothing wrong?
Now, he was innocent. He failed the coordination test, but it doesn't matter. That's really not admissible in court. But I will say he was not riding a motorcycle, even if he did fail, even if he was intox, which he wasn't. His hotel was like right across.
Allegedly.
No, I was not innocent. Innocent. This is innocent
Yeah, he was-
until proven guilty.
Absolutely. He was innocent, but he did terrible in the court. Terrible.
Hey, you did that
Now-
sober, man. You better not ever drink. Yeah.
In his defense, it was a crowd of people around watching him. So he had an
And they
audience.
were all harassing me. All harassing me.
Were you accosted?
I was
Huh?
being harassed, and I'm standing by that.
Listen, guys. Before we get into it, I took my Street Glide to get the handlebars replaced. I got 12-inch bars on there now. Folsom Prison handlebars from Tap Performance, and oh my God, I mean that bike feels so good, man. It just feels so good. And that might be the bike that I'm getting rid of, but now it's happening again. I get on the bike, I ride it. It's nighttime. I'm looking at all the lights. The handlebars feel so much better. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Hey, so oh dang. Oh wow, let me catch up, man. Gosh, I forgot what I was gonna ask, man. It is just that it happened just that quick.
It's too much pressure, man. Too much pressure. So listen, I do want to say, I want to thank everybody for coming back, checking us out here on Splitting Lanes. I hope you subscribe, hit that like button, and definitely hit us up in the comments. We want to hear what you have to say. And I want to let you guys know that we are going to be eventually doing this live. And we're going to be having guests. And I want you guys to definitely join us and check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
And
And
also, if
go
you
ahead.
are enjoying, if you're enjoying the podcast series, share it with your friends. Let them know about it. Post it on your social media. We appreciate your support.
All right. So I guess we're going to take this moment. We're going to transition into our first topic. And, kind of like I alluded to at the beginning of the show, this has been a busy week. A lot has gone on. But most notably for us sports fans out there, the Super Bowl happened with the Eagles blowing the doors off of Kansas City. And not only that, one of the guys here on this panel was actually at the show. The game rather. So
The show, the game, both of them.
so what was your? I know you did a video on your channel, but just
Yeah.
give us the short version of your experience and your thoughts about it.
Man, well, I'll tell you what. Initially going there, I was looking forward to it. Been planning this for about a year. And then I heard, that the president was going to be there. I'm like, oh my God, something stupid's going to happen there. But man, there were police everywhere. You couldn't go a half a block without seeing 5 or 6 police officers. I doubt that there was another police officer anywhere else in the state of Louisiana. I think they were all in New Orleans. But getting into the stadium was relatively easy. Obviously, a lot of people there. The New Orleans Stadium is super nice considering that it went through Hurricane Katrina and all the other horrible things that happened to it. The stadium looks fantastic. The game was just as horrible in person as I'm sure it was watching from home because Kansas City did not show up. It was that was the worst Super Bowl I've seen, I think, since San Francisco beat the brakes off of San Diego or something like that. It was just an awful, awful game. Halftime show sucked. Halftime
Oh my
show,
gosh.
worst thing ever.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Worst
That was
worst
awful. It was
thing
trash.
ever.
Hot garbage.
Oh man, that had the highest. That was the highest watch halftime show in history so far.
People like to
So
watch train wrecks. I mean, those people will stand by and make watching
No.
a train wreck.
I think that, let's face it. If they say the highest watched, people are going to, maybe more people were watching the Super Bowl this year because it was going to be historic if the Chiefs won. Now, when the halftime show comes on, it doesn't tell you how many people started watching it and stopped, So,
well, look. I'll tell you this. So my kids don't watch sports because they're into art and video games and soccer or whatever. So they're not really into watching football and those things. But
yeah.
the entire week, both my kids came home talking about, "Are you watching the Super Bowl? Is anybody coming over for the Super Bowl? Because I want to see Kendrick Lamar and SZA at the halftime show." Like that was the
Who?
whole
Wait,
the
who?
whole thing about it, huh?
Who?
Kendrick Lamar and SZA.
Okay. I'll tell
How
you,
old are you
I
again?
actually heard the name Kendrick Lamar. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. Now, you said scissors?
SZA.
What the hell was that?
My
Are
goodness,
you
man.
punking me? Are you punking me?
No, man. Look. So anyway,
Oh my God.
Hold on,
you gonna,
so I
most
think
watch Super Bowl halftime ever better than Michael Jackson with Kendrick Lamar and scissors?
hey, I didn't come up. I didn't come up with the
Yes,
numbers.
Trash, hot trash.
Scissors.
Look,
Maybe I'm old or whatever, but it was trash.
So check this out, right? So I've watched a few of these reaction videos from the Super Bowl, the halftime show specifically, and one of them that stuck out to me was the one that T-Pain did on his channel, and
Who was that?
oh my gosh,
T-Pain.
oh my gosh.
You can't make a point. You can't make a point if you're using people he doesn't know.
I'm telling you.
He is a musical expert. Okay. Right. So now he himself had said, as far as the show went, he didn't think that they did a lot. he thought it was kind of, I guess normal for a performance. All right, this is like nothing special, like Rihanna or whoever that was flying in the air that one time. You know, they
Scratch
didn't
and
do
sniff.
they didn't do any of that stuff, right? So they kept it kind of basic.
Yeah.
But he said, and I agree. But he was saying that the music was bangers. Like all of the music that he put on at that show were absolute bangers. So I'm sitting here.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a very
That's
good
what
thing.
I had never heard any of those songs before. I didn't know what the hell he's talking about. Never heard the song. I honestly did not know who he was. Still don't. You know.
Do me a favor. Do me a favor. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to whoever's watching this. If you watch this, put it in the comment section. This is pointless because this is totally subjective. I watched it. I thought it was trash. Mike thought it was trash. And when I looked in the comment section, everything I looked at, the majority of people said worst Super Bowl halftime show ever. Right? I'm not gonna say it was the worst ever, but
No, it
Oscar, how old
probably
are
is.
you?
So
How
hold on. Before we get in that, I've got everything that I looked at was like completely the opposite. Everybody was
course.
saying that. Well, a lot of people were talking about the whole thing, the beef between him and Drake and everything and all that stuff. That was like the major storyline because everybody's eating that stuff up. But all the stuff that I read, I mean, they was talking about the music selection was just 10 out of 10, and I think because every song that dropped, I was just like, okay, all right. But maybe that's the DJ in me. I don't know. But
the
it is
bad
what it is.
tasting.
Me being
motorcycle.
the young kid here.
Exactly.
That's,
So
that's
now,
probably it.
now answer the question that the third time I'm asking. How old are your kids?
17 and 13.
Yeah. Who cares what they think about? Hey, we can't wait to watch the Super Bowl to see the kids. The kids.
I mean, if you're telling me the 17, 13-year-olds, that means the 20s, the 30s, they're watching it too. Because everybody was excited about Kendrick Lamar. I mean, he just won a bunch of Grammys, didn't he? Yeah, he just won a whole bunch of awards just
I
recently.
haven't
Which is-
watched the
which-
Grammys in ever.
Right. But what I'm
they do
saying
an
is,
audio book for Grammys, then he'll know.
right. What I'm saying is, this isn't some unknown guy that they just brought up.
No.
This is a top billing musical artist that has #1 record. Like this dude is amazing, and a lot of his music, a lot of his context is not necessarily the beats and this, that, and the other. It's the message that he has within it, which is why people like him so much. So it's just it's just one of those things.
I mean,
Agree to disagree.
Yep.
Tell him to write a book if he wants to do a message. Don't
Yeah,
rap.
exactly.
Write a book. Because
yeah, exactly.
and what's the point of the message if I don't know what you're saying? I couldn't understand the word he was saying. So,
Yeah, I couldn't understand any of it. Like I said, I didn't know the music, but I mean, I guess that happens. My dad didn't like what I listened to when I was a kid, so
Right.
young people like this new generation of rap, which I can't stand. That's okay. That's just life.
yeah.
But I'll say this, the choreography of it all, I thought it was pretty neat. It looked pretty
Yeah.
cool. That part was okay. I just didn't, I couldn't relate to it because it's not my music. It's not my generation of music. In terms
There
of
you
trying
go.
to deliver a message, some cultural statement, that stuff is tired to me. You get paid to go there and entertain, and you're trying to shoot some message at another rapper or President Trump or whatever. I don't care about any of that. Keep that to yourself. I paid to be entertained. I didn't pay to listen to your stupid message.
Are you not entertained?
No, not at all.
Man, so there was a segment in there where people were singing along, because there was a section where he stopped and it sounded like, I mean, except for your section, I
That was
suppose,
added background noise.
but it was
Everybody in my section, everybody's looking at each other. What's he saying? I don't know. Who is he? I don't know.
He was in the silver section.
yeah.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. if you watch my video, I got clips of people sitting around me. Yeah, nobody knew. You
That's
know,
crazy, man. Look,
Who is Kendricks Lamar and Scissors?
scissors. I hope he doesn't hurt himself running around on the field like that with scissors. That could be
y'all,
dangerous.
you got to expand your musical selection, man. I
No,
listen
I
to
don't.
I listen to
No,
a
I
little
don't.
bit of I listen to a little bit of everything,
So do I.
except for country music. I don't like country music.
I'm
Well, you know
actually
what?
digging country music.
I, I I mean, my musical palette is not as expanded as, like, let's say Anita's. Anita listens to all kind of crap, but
Mm.
I mean, that's what I mean. This whole thing is subjective. Either you like it or you don't. I
Yeah.
don't. And song that he every I guess it's supposed to be the most popular is "They Not Like Us" or something like that. I don't like that song at all. At all. I don't like the beat. I don't like anything about it. So
Yeah.
again, it doesn't matter. That's why it's more than one artist out there. We
But you know,
wasted enough time, in my opinion, talking about that. I mean, I'm sure Mike has way more to tell
well,
us about
I got one
overall.
more thing I'll say. So after after I got back, I'm like, all right, they not like us. I'm like, what the hell song is this? So I looked it up on YouTube, watched this music video. I'm old. My time has passed. It's
Hey,
horrible.
hey, look, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Golly, man.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead, Mike. What else you got for us? Because this was a bucket list thing for you. You finally did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know what I mean?
No,
So
God knows it wasn't cheap. I think
yeah,
the whole all in I was in for about $16,000.
yeah, yeah.
So because we bought a package that include tickets to the game. We had great seats. I was on about the 40-yard line. I was on the second level, but the seats were phenomenal. They were really good. And probably 10 rows, 10, 15 rows behind me is where all of the high-priced booths were. The, what do you call it?
The
I don't know,
boxes.
Bob,
the box seats. And that's where all the big stars
yes.
were. So Paul McCartney was to my left, I think. You saw T Swizzle, Taylor Swift,
Hmm.
Donald Trump was
Look,
up there,
I was
and
about to ask you who
Adam
was that.
Sandler.
I ain't never heard of
No,
T
I only
Swizzle.
say T Swizzle because I heard her call that on the radio. I don't know if that's a nickname for her or not, but no, you saw all of them behind us. And it's kind of funny because all the people sitting in front of me, they were turned around trying to look up in the boxes. I'm like, dude, the game's that way. And they're all taking pictures of the box. I'm like, it's so stupid. If you want a picture of them, Google it. But
Yeah.
no. So anyway, $16,000. We got access to early access to the stadium, and they had a special lounge area for us. And then there was a bunch of NFL stars in there. Um, it was actually very cool. It was a cool experience. I will only do this once because that's too much money. But it was fun. It's
Wait,
my
I'm sorry.
retirement gift to
I'm so,
myself.
I'm sorry. It was how much money?
$16,000.
No, no, no.
No,
Which you said too much money.
Yeah, $16,000. That's too much money.
Yes,
You
yes.
know how many trips I could take, or actually the type of trip I could take for that kind of money? Man, shit,
And
I
not
could go
yeah,
first class to Europe for
yeah.
I
a week or two.
and you guys. Well, Rob said this last time that I'm tight with money. I
Like,
it's not that I'm tight. It's just that when we're looking at, because every time somebody's talking about pricing and things going up, everybody's excuse was inflation and this, that, and the other. But my rebuttal to that is your pay doesn't go up with inflation. You're still getting
Hmm.
paid what you get paid, especially for people
Oh,
on
that's true. Yeah,
salaries. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So there's going to be a point where pricing is going to outdo what people are making. So that's a whole nother conversation we can do,
Well,
man.
supply and demand.
But
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. But yeah, so if your supply is too high, then your demand is going to be low. So
Well, but see, here's the thing: you don't have to spend that much money to go to the Super Bowl.
correct.
The
right.
tickets you could have been up in the nosebleeds for about 2 grand. Buy those tickets before before the game. But some people say that if you wait till after kickoff, the prices drop like a rock. Now I didn't
Hmm.
bother looking because I was busy watching the game.
Yeah.
But so yeah, if you just want to be at the stadium, about $2,200 could have gotten you into the stadium. You'd been in nosebleeds. You could spend, I don't know, probably a couple $1,000. The room's going to be expensive. You might be able to get
Yeah.
away with 1,000 or something like that. unless you're going to stay in a camper van somewhere and cut your cost
Yeah.
even further. Because I saw someone sleeping in the back of their car.
Oh dang.
So, oh yeah, they had their little setup. They found a parking spot, slept in their car. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But,
So when we went to see Cowboys Giants when we were
mhm,
living in Jersey, and we paid I think $500 for those tickets. We were like we were 4 rows back on the 50-yard line, so it was 500 each. So that was great.
yeah,
But in my experience, so the best thing about that stadium was the food. All right, the food was absolutely amazing.
mhm,
Of course, it's pricey, but
right,
the experience of watching the game, like I mean, maybe because it was the Cowboys and the Giants, maybe that's what it
yeah,
was. The team sucked, maybe. So,
yeah.
Was,
but
was it a Super Bowl? Was
Agreed.
it a
It's
Super?
the Cowboys.
no, it was just a regular season game. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. So it could have been the teams, but to me, the atmosphere wasn't that great for me to spend a whole bunch. Like I would rather go to a regular season game and then watch the Super Bowl on TV where I could actually see it. Like
Right.
see it like on my up close. So I don't know.
So
Yeah.
Mike did something. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, sitting there watching the Super Bowl to me was worse than watching a regular season NFL game because if you're watching it at home, you get to see all the funny commercials and all that. Well, you're at the game. What you get is a bunch of breaks in gameplay, so the game stops, and it stops a lot. And you're just sitting there and like, all right, there we go. We're waiting. Must be playing another commercial, and it happens so much. Oh, that part was uncomfortable. The
Yeah.
third quarter, I just got up and went back into the lounge, and I was watching it on TV because it was more
Mm.
comfortable there than sitting in the stands. The stands are not comfortable at all. But
Yeah.
from hanging out with your friends, to my opinion, a Super Bowl party is better because
Right.
it's a more intimate environment. When you're in the stands, you're around a bunch of strangers. I didn't know them people. And
Mhm.
I'd have had more fun staying in our Airbnb. To be honest with you, but
Yeah.
and it's an experience I wouldn't trade. But I'm only going to do it once. You know,
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. That's why I said, Mike, go ahead. Because in his video, he said, it's a different experience in the stadium. So listen, I don't like football like that. So I would never go. I have no interest in it, especially people out there in the freezing cold and the snow
hmm
cheering. Some of them have shirts on. Yeah. So for me, I never forget, I went to a Yankee game. I was actually in a suite. If I'm going to go to a stadium, being in a suite's the only place I want to be because I like to hear the commentary. I like to see the replays. I like to have the option of looking at the screen, but still seeing it live. And when you're there, like Mike said, there's no buffer for when nothing's happening. And if you're used to watching sports all the time, you're accustomed to hearing the commentators talk about stuff. So for me, especially now in this age of 4K television, I just want to have a nice big screen and I'm comfortable
hmm
there.
right.
I really am. Instead of all the hassle of getting into it's just a lot. It's a lot. So I
Yeah.
understand what Mike said. Something he wanted to do and he did it. I'm glad he did it.
Yeah.
And as
Yep.
far as price and inflation and all that stuff, you know what, Finesse, we have to remember the things we're talking about here. Motorcycles, going to a football game. None of these things are essential. So
Yep.
whatever it costs, if you can't afford it, then watch it on TV.
Yep. Yep.
It's free on television.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and if you don't go, rest assured that when you die and your children fall into all of that money, man, I'm sorry that dad's gone, but I'm going to the Super Bowl
Now,
with your
look.
money.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun or you shouldn't do these things or like these once in a lifetime experiences. You shouldn't have them. And while these things that we're talking about, motorcycles, football games, those types of things, while they're not important to us, I mean, these are jobs for other people, so they're important
Right,
to them.
right.
So
hmm
yes, in our minds, it's a recreational activity, but there just has to be there has to be a point because uh, Mrs. Finesse, right? She loves taking trips and doing things and having those experiences, and we
Mhm.
spend. It's nothing to spend 10 grand on a trip doing something,
Right,
with the
right.
family, because you got to buy like 4 or 5 tickets for stuff.
Yeah.
But when we talk about it, I'm like, look, well, how about we instead of doing that, we drive to this place over here and we can do absolutely everything as opposed to getting on a trip and doing like an excursion here, an excursion there. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying just get more for what you're spending.
Yeah, but
Oh,
that's,
no
again,
doubt. That's why I won't be going again.
and that's
One
it's
time
all.
shot.
I mean, it's all relative. Think about that. The nosebleed seats is $2,000. So listen, there's certain things that are going to price people out, and then depending on how bad they want to go, even if they can't afford it, they're still going to go. So at the end of the day, like I said, we're still talking about things that aren't essential. How bad you want to do it doesn't make it essential.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
For sure. All right, so I guess we'll take this time to transition since we talked about the Super Bowl and how some of us liked it and some of us didn't.
Two of us hated it.
Like it.
So,
So crazy thing, we didn't even talk about the game, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, so we are going to get down to our next topic, and that is going to be out of Detroit, Michigan, where a local rapper called Dank DeMoss was denied transportation by a Lyft driver due to her size. It was reported that the driver allegedly stated that he could not provide her transportation because she would not fit in the car and that his tires would not support the additional weight.
A Detroit rapper is going viral for something other than her music.
Fans know her as Dank DeMoss, and they're fuming after a Lyft driver allegedly denied her a ride because of her size.
He told her there's not enough room in his car.
The kicker part was when he started to talk about his tires. I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like my tires, like.
The driver said his tires could not handle her weight.
I knew it was illegal and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
All right, so this whole situation, there's a lot to unpack, so we're going to talk about it here real quick. So as I was watching that video, at the tail end of the video, the lawyer says, in the state of Michigan, it is illegal to discriminate on someone by their weight. All right, specifically in the state of Michigan. So in my eyes, I think people are putting a lot of self into this, and they're either you're a victim or you're or whatever the case may be, right? But when it really comes down to it, the law in that state says you can't do it. Now, had this person allowed her to get in the vehicle, and then maybe there were some issues once she got in the vehicle, I think that would have been different than not allowing her to get in the vehicle at all. And I think that's kind of where it got messed up at for this and that person, at least from my vantage point, based on what the lawyer said about the law in Michigan.
well, that law in Michigan also states that there's an exception. There's exceptions because in some ways it's simply not practical. And that's the wiggle room that that makes her whole case fall apart. She was too big to fit in that car. That was and she did it because she didn't want to spend the money. And I'm not into trying to humiliate or deprive someone of their their liberty, but you got to have reasonable expectations as well.
That's right.
The accommodation thing is not absolute. She couldn't be an airline, or she couldn't be an airline pilot. She couldn't be a fighter pilot. There's a whole bunch of things that she can't do because she's just too big.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's just something you got to deal with.
this guy was as respectful as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
Trying not to say anything to hurt her feelings or whatever. And it's unfortunate that he lost his job because of this.
He
But I
did.
put myself, yeah, he did. Live fired.
Oh,
Listen,
you
that
gotta be kidding me.
that's going to
ridiculous.
happen, man. That's going to happen. They don't listen. He's a contractor. He's replaceable. Lyft is not going to take a stand with this guy. They're not going to stand behind him. So if I put myself in his place, if I'm a Lyft or Uber driver and I pull up, am I letting her in my car? So I
Hell
was talking
no.
to no, and I was talking to Oscar about this. I'm not worried about my tires, right? He just didn't know what to say. Like she asked him one
Right.
question, why get in the car, and he didn't even answer it, right? But so listen, when I was working in the highway patrol, this is why whenever somebody rides in the back of my car, I make them put on a seatbelt. And if they don't want to put on a seatbelt, then they got to get the hell out of my car. Because if I'm wearing my seatbelt in the front of the car, you don't wear yours in the back.
Yeah,
If God
check.
forbid I'm involved in an accident, you become a projectile in that car. And I actually responded to a scene where the person in the back of the car broke the neck of the person in front of the car. The person in the front of the car had a seatbelt on, but because this person in the back of the car does not have it, and it's a rollover accident, a lot of things happen when that car is rolling over. You have no control over your body. That's why seatbelts are so important. So, with that being said, even if she got in the back of that car, she doesn't. She there's no way she can put the seatbelt on because she's too wide to be. You know what I'm saying? I know for a fact she's not putting the seatbelt on in the back of the car. So, and that the safety concern for me as the driver. So, and then she recorded the whole thing, and now she's come on, she's going on everybody's shows and podcasts.
Right.
This is a come up for her. This is a come up.
Right.
It's a
Well, I mean,
publicity stunt.
it,
It was a publicity stunt, and I didn't know the dude got lost his job or whatever with Lyft. That's messed up. You have
Yeah.
somebody that's trying to push themselves up by stepping on somebody else's neck,
Mm-hmm.
and that's somebody won't stepping on your neck.
yeah. I mean, and I get that, and I understand all that. But in this particular case, if you're working for a company, right,
Hmm.
and you are voluntarily using your vehicle or your personal property for that company, then to an extent you are obligated to do whatever it is that you need to do for the company, right? Otherwise, you could be let go, which was done. And then as far as what her case is going for, whether it's for publicity or anything else, just when it comes down to it, he didn't even he didn't even give her the chance to attempt to get in the car. You know what I mean? So being what it is, whether it's right or wrong, I still think they have a case to argue that, okay, well, if I couldn't put the seatbelt on, I never got to that point because I was denied simply because I looked big, or whatever your estimation was. Look, I'm just saying. She is a large woman. I think she was 300 or
She's
400
400
pounds. Yeah, something
weighs as
like
much
that.
as she weighs as much as a baby polar bear or female polar bear, right? She's close to 500 pounds. So listen, man, there's gray areas in some laws, and then there's some things that are very strict. This can easily be articulated. And listen, if Lyft pays her money, that doesn't mean that he did anything wrong or they won some case. It means they didn't want to drag it out and they just wanted to go away. But I think
Right.
if this went the distance, she's not getting anything, because you have to be reasonable, and that's the argument I use too. What if it's a highly intoxicated person and they want to get inside your car? Can you deny them? What if they're belligerent? Like there's a bunch of reasons why they can't tell you you have to take everybody in your car.
Right.
And to
There
say,
are
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, there are protections within Lyft, right? Because I was looking at the terms of service for Lyft. So there are exceptions that protect both the driver and the rider, right? And and those protections don't go over the law of the state. Just like any
Yeah.
like so even if like if I get pulled over for speeding 2 miles an hour or 2 miles an hour over the limit, how am I going to argue with the officer? I'm speeding, so give me the ticket. You know what I mean? So it's that's just off the top of my head. But if the law of the state says you cannot deny somebody based on their weight, and it's crazy that that's a specific thing in Detroit, but if that's what it is, then that's what it is. I don't see what the whole big hoopla is as far as. I mean, I guess the publicity that they drummed up for this. I don't know if that was
Yeah.
her idea or the lawyer's idea or whatever. You get the court of public opinion, but to me,
It's her
this is like we're done with this already. That's,
I'm not. I mean, my thing, those types of laws are stupid, in my opinion, because they have these unintended consequences. But again, I'm going to stick my stake in the fact that There's a provision in the law because there are exceptions. That accommodation thing is not absolute. It is 100% not absolute. And I think this driver and Lyft, if they had courage, which I doubt that they do, should fight this because it's BS. I mean, I had a personal story similar to this. I made the mistake of flying Southwest Airlines. And whenever I fly Southwest, I always do an aisle seat. I'm 6'1", 2 or whatever, somewhere around there. I got my aisle seat. The plane's packed. The middle seat's open, and I'm sitting there. Oh, good Lord! Just please don't let anybody sit next to me. Then an announcement comes over the intercom. The plane's full. You got to take the next available seat. Who comes marching down the aisle? A very large human being. Very, very large. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, this flight's gonna be too long, and walks right up to me. I'm like, dang. So I had to stand up, let the person squeeze themselves in there. They occupied 100% of their seat and about 30% of mine. I'm like, now where am I gonna sit? So I'm sitting with my butt hanging out for the aisle because half my seat was occupied, and the wait or the stewardess came to me, sir, you need to, you need to get out of the aisle. I'm like, how? My seat's gone.
Hold
What
on.
am I supposed to
So
do? I mean, she gets accommodated, or I'm dang, I say she, but that person got accommodated. That's BS. I felt bad for her, and I was trying my best not to be belligerent until the waitress or the stewardess or whatever, the airline stewardess started harassing me. It's like, sir, you're occupying the aisle. I'm like, I have no choice. You're the one who let her on the plane, not me.
okay, so he doesn't know who Kendrick Lamar is. He calls
Nope.
Scissor, and now he's calling the
Scissor.
flight attendant stewardesses. I mean, this
Whatever.
guy.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
I'm
know
sorry.
that
The
stewardess.
more politically correct term, the flight attendant. The flight attendant.
I don't know. I don't know if that's politically
You're
correct.
occupying the aisle. We need you to, move over into your seat. And I'm like, where? There's no room left in my seat. I
don't
should get a
Well,
discount for this
I
flight.
don't know. I don't know if that's politically correct. I think that's their actual title.
I'm not politically
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
So I don't give a hot damn about political correctness.
Well, listen, if you were on Delta or United, they would have made that person buy another seat.
Yeah.
So, because
Well,
that's just, and
That's
that's
what
a policy by the airlines. If you're a certain size, you have to buy 2 tickets. So,
Right.
I mean, listen. There's some things that could be considered discriminatory, and then there's other things that are just. I mean, you got to look at stuff realistically and practically. I mean, it's if you're 400 and something pounds and you want to get in the back of somebody's car, squeeze into the back of somebody's car, even if you could do it. Oh, I
Well,
don't
okay.
know.
But
Well, okay.
that's
Then what about this? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's my whole point, right? They never allowed her to even attempt it. You know what I mean? If the car was too small and she couldn't fit, then I mean, if she tried to get in it, then she wouldn't have fit. If she got in it, if she, I understand that, but he's providing a service as part of a business, right? So anyway, if she did get in the car, and let's just say the car couldn't handle it, and it ended up sitting on the ground or whatever because of the weight back there. Then if he'd have said, "Look, I can't transport you because X, Y, and Z. The car's not moving. I damaged the car." To me, that seems like there'd be more of a justification for it than just looking at her outside the window, giving her all of these options.
No.
So
Listen,
No, I'm not going to give somebody an opportunity to damage my car.
which is why I
in order
wouldn't
to
use my
experiment
car,
and find
which is
out.
why
Because
I don't
then,
do it.
well, but that's the business model that Lyft pursued. If I were the driver, I would sue Lyft. Um, that's what I think should happen. And then, I mean, the example you gave was the Michigan law. So based on that Michigan law, then the morbidly obese person should not be forced to buy two seats.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I mean, they
I
should be
don't.
treated just like everybody else. In fact, I was watching some videos today. There's some YouTube videos where some people who are morbidly obese are demanding to be treated equally, just like everybody else. And if they require 2 seats, they should get they should get whatever space is required and pay the same amount as everybody else. And that's this new society we live in. It is so weird. I don't know how this continues. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely ridiculous.
we're not talking about This is not about fat shaming or anything like that.
No, not
We're
at
not
all.
talking. We're not talking about something that somebody was born with. We're talking about, something that somebody created, right? And so now, um, we have to make accommodations for that person based on the choices that they made. Listen, we're all accountable for everything that we do, everything that we say. We have to be accountable for that. And this is just it's an unfortunate situation. It's one of those gray areas. So let's put it like this. Let's suppose that the person is 600 pounds. My 600-pound life. You see these people all the time, and they walk up to a small car like that and want to get in. They're gonna sue them too for that. Sometimes you can look at something and say, "Nah, this doesn't make any sense," and I don't want to have to deal with having you try to squeeze in, and now me asking you more awkwardly to get out, and now you refuse to get out. Now I got to sit there and deal with this. I got to call the cops, And plus, if you remember, he said he had a situation like this happen before. So something happened. Remember, I say all the time, we are shaped by our experiences. Clearly, something happened before where he was just like, I went through this before, not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. Yep.
Yeah, and I get all that, and I understand that because, which is why I'm not a Lyft driver, because I'm not putting some random stranger in my car. I mean, whether they're paying me or not. So nobody's forcing these individuals to do this program. Once you get in this program, you have a set of guidelines that you follow, a set of guidelines that the user is supposed to follow. So if you don't agree with those guidelines, then don't do it. So, I mean, we could take it either way. It's the responsibility of the person to say, I got to order this one instead of that one, or the responsibility of the individual to be like, okay, well, if I'm doing this as a business and I'm going into a contract with a company and I'm expected to do X, Y, and Z, then that's what I got to do. That's like if you wanted to, as a motor officer, but you don't want to ride a motorcycle. I mean, it's just like.
But
that's the thing.
I'm sure that Lyft does not require them to transport people who are obviously intoxicated. I don't have to give you a breathalyzer to look at you and see that you're stupid drunk. Like, no, I'm not giving you a ride because you're going to throw up in my car. I'm not taking that chance. I'm not required to take a chance to have a morbidly obese person damage my car. I'm not required to. Or what if the person just smelled? You can't record smell on video.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And am I obligated to counsel that person based on their body odor? Like, no, not at all. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm going to cancel your ride. You're going to have to reschedule. And the mistake I think he made, he talked to her too much.
Yeah.
And he was trying to be a nice guy. And once again, nice guys get punished. The lesson learned for all Lyft and Uber drivers: you pull up to somebody, you assess them, and like, no, I'm not going to give that person a ride. I'll just tell them, sorry, I'm going to cancel your ride to give you a refund. You're going to have to reschedule another ride. Roll up your windows and drive on. Be done.
Right, but
that's what I was doing.
But it's if you there are those instances you're talking about with somebody drunk and everything. That's not the issue here. The issue is, he looked at her and told her that she can't get in the car based on what she looked like, right? That applies to just about everything. So if you're gonna allow people to do that, then that means that you could pull up and just see somebody that you don't like and just keep on rolling. Now, granted, free country, you can do that if you want, but if you're gonna allow people to discriminate based on what you see, then
not discrimination.
It's not discrimination. He assessed her and it's like, you cannot fit in this car. This car is too small. And he advised her order an Uber XL, which is a bigger vehicle. He gave her the means to still get where she wants to go. And she said herself, she was just trying to save a little bit of money, and knew damn well she couldn't fit in that car.
And
we don't know if she could fit though.
She can't fit.
I don't need a ruler to tell me.
I'm pretty sure if you squeezed her in there, she can probably fit. But that's not a safe way to be transported. And it's unfair to say, well, hey, if you don't want to follow all the rules, don't drive Lyft or don't drive Uber. There's exceptions to everything. That probably happens once in a million years. Even on any other type of job, somebody at some point, some boss could ask you to do something that you go, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
You know, so it is the same thing, you know. And if you lose your job because of that, that's a choice that you have to make. But
100%.
listen, you're not going to be, nobody's going to force me to trust. He's probably working for Uber now. Like, you know, this is not, you know, come on.
Well, these laws are going to could have the unintended consequences of undermining Uber and Lyft because, you know, if this driver gets sued personally and if he were to lose, that's going to kill the Uber and Lyft business, and it's going to undermine what everybody loves about Uber and Lyft. And you go back to having those nasty Crown Victorias riding around, and she would have, you know, she could have fit one of those. But that's what we would get stuck with.
Yeah,
You know, the government meddles way too much, and this is another prime example of the government sticking its nose in something that has no business being in.
I don't think this is a problem with government meddling because
It's the law.
the law is in place. What if
Yeah,
you're
the
gonna if
government.
you're right, but if you're gonna start a service and you know that this law may affect your service, then you know do
You
something
don't do
about
the
it.
service.
No, no,
Don't
I'm just
do
saying,
the service.
or don't do the service. So it's not a matter. I don't think it's a matter
Well, that's
of
my point.
meddling. I think it's just. I think it's just. It's a product, like you said. It's a byproduct that happens to unintentionally affect something else, right? Because it was probably something with the workplace. It was probably something with, whatever. Yeah, I'd say the workplace. So somebody would come in, and if they're too large, they say you can't work here. Something like that. That was probably the intent behind it, which was a good purpose. And just because this situation is highlighted and everybody is so ultra sensitive that it becomes a problem when it's really not a problem, it just happened. This is just an instance. And I think this is just going to blow over, and we're not going to even be talking about this in 2 weeks.
Well, I would certainly hope not. But I mean, you know, just rental laws and this in Chicago, it is hard as all get out to evict a tenant who doesn't pay. In Georgia, or at least it used to be when I was a landlord, you could kick people out in a matter of weeks. So the result of that, in Georgia, you have much higher quality rental property available. In Chicago, oh, good look, everything looks like trash up there that I see. The quality of rentals in Chicago compared to the quality of rentals in Atlanta is night and day, and it's all about all of those tenant protection laws that they have in Chicago. Same thing with this. So if you put all of these rider protection laws that said that the drivers have to put up with anything and everything, then you're going to have fewer drivers because nobody's going to want to take the chance. And so that's what I mean when I say the government is meddling in something where there was not a problem in the first place. Lyft and it already had larger vehicles available. That's all she had to do was choose a larger vehicle. She chose the small vehicle.
Yeah.
That was on her. The
And
government don't need to be involved in that.
Lyft doesn't require you to transport anyone and everyone.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
that's
a
what we said.
necessary
That's
law.
what the law says.
Definitely a necessary law. Like I said, it's one of those gray areas. This is one of those things where they're going to have to go to court and just articulate it. There's exceptions to everything, right? They just for almost everything, and that's what we're dealing with here. It's just an exception, right? She's an exceptionally large person, so I'm quite sure when they wrote that law, they weren't thinking about a Lyft driver and a almost 500-pound woman getting in the back of the car and the driver saying, "No, I don't think this is going to happen." They're not talking about that, so that's why laws have amendments and stuff like that, because something happens, and then if it doesn't work out in this court, it goes to a higher court. And, so well, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to lose any sleep waiting for the final determination of what happens. But
And who knows? This could spark the point for whatever amendment, and now people are better off for it. And that's what I'm saying. So when everybody's like jumping on this one way or the other, instead of looking at it like you're being attacked, look at it from the other side as well. Because moving forward, now Lyft could have the potential to have protections, well, even more protections for their drivers just because of this one instance. So when people just jump on things, to me, it just doesn't make sense. You got to kind of sit back and really look at what's going on, take it all in, So I think as a society, we should definitely do better with that aspect of life. I think people are really, really quick to jump on something without having all the information. And I've been guilty of it too, but it's just, I try my best not to do so. It just irks me.
People
No,
are just
I jump all in head first.
people.
Head
I
first.
think people are way too sensitive. And right after this happened, and she posted this, and I know she posted this thinking there were going to be a whole bunch of people championing for her, and it was the opposite. You know, people were just like, "Come on now, you knew damn well," and blah blah blah. You know, so then again, that's people's opinion. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done with it.
Yeah. Matter of fact, not only that, we're done with that, but I think this is going to be it for the show. Man,
Yeah.
we had a good show. We talked about some football. We talked about some societal things, and these are one of those topics where hey, stuff is going to happen. I actually think we stayed on topic this time.
And we bounced.
Mostly, we bounced around a little bit.
We never talked about football. We never did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
know,
talked
right?
about that. And we talked about that trash halftime show.
I mean, oh my goodness. Either way, though, when I was watching that game, it was over in the first quarter. I was like, "Come on, it's like 20 something to nothing." Oh, it's done.
I would say
It's
by
over.
halftime it was over. But then again, you had
Yeah.
my beloved Falcons. That game was also over
We
by
ain't, we ain't,
halftime.
man, we ain't
Until
talking.
it wasn't.
Nah, come on now. We ain't talking about the Falcons. Come on, man. We're not talking about the Falcons. But anyways, guys,
But
thank
you're
you
wearing
guys.
an Atlanta hat, brother.
Oh, my
What's that
goodness.
A on your hat?
These are the Braves, not the Falcons. All right.
That's
Anyway,
That's Atlanta.
so we had a great show today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you guys for that. Definitely leave a comment. And like Q said earlier, send this out to all your friends. Get them in on it as well. We'd love to hear from you guys. But I am Finesse signing off for Splitting Lanes with...
Rob.
Cue the rider.
And we are, I can't say we are out because that's yours. I was going to say it. I was going to do it. But hey, and we will see you guys on the next one.
You know what? Have Q take us out.
Yeah, we have Q take us out. Go ahead, get it, man. Get it.
This is Q. I'm riding. I'm splitting lanes and I'm out.
I knew he was going to screw it up. That's not his fault, man. We just put him on. We didn't give him no warning.
Nope.
There's a lot of pressure. Man. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is. All right, y'all.